if I'm not mistaken, you were the second out, right?
I made the second out. I hit a fly ball to left center. I didn't hit it well.
What'd you think as you went back to the dugout?
Oh, I think we're done. It's the greatest comeback in. What did we score? 3 runs to win?
Right. And so
3 runs with 2 outs, nobody on, facing elimination. It's the greatest single, I think, with your back to the wall comeback in World Series history.
So when you got back to the dugout, it was just dead quiet? Is that what it was?
I did. I went back up to the locker room because I didn't want to see the Boston in our field.
Mm-hmm.
So I go up into the my locker, and my locker was the first locker, and the manager's office was a hallway down there.
Right.
And then Jay Horowitz was in there with Darryl Johnson, ironically, who was the manager of the Red Sox when they lost the World Series. I forget which year. Wasn't Zimmer the manager? It was, but he was a former manager. He was our head scout. So he called me into the room, and I sat down, and all of a sudden, Carter gets a hit.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Mitchell gets a hit.
Well, before you continue on, is it true Kevin Mitchell was with you in the locker room?
He was in the locker room, but he was completely dressed and
completely dressed in civilian clothes.
Someone came up and said, "You're going to pinch hit," and he ran down.
Is it true he was commando? Like he had nothing on underneath?
No, he was completely clothed.
No, but he just the word
is.
Am I telling you that something
No, he was not. That's all.
That's
urban.
Fake. That's urban legend.
Yeah.
I thought use another Seinfeld reference. It was just only what's the Seinfeld?
A thin layer of gabardine.
It's thin layer of gabardine between him and the rest of the world.
No,
That's
he
not
was
true.
completely clothed.
Okay.
And he ran down, got his bat, and got up and got a base hit.
Got a base hit. So now what do you think?
So I'm sitting in my chair in Davey's office and then Ron walks in, Darling.
Yeah.
And I just said to everybody, no one move, stay where you are. After our third hit, I go, we got hits here. And old Shea, you've been to a concert at Madison Square Garden.
Sure, yeah.
When it's like the seats are.
Yeah, shaking. Uh-huh.
That's how Shea was. Because we were underneath the box seats.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like being at a concert at a Bruce Springsteen concert at Madison Square Garden. So I watched the whole thing.
On television?
On television.
With Vince Scully on the call?
Yep.
In the clubhouse?
I should have been in the dugout. Something I'm not proud of, but I wasn't going to leave. And so I didn't, when we scored the winning run, I didn't run out there. I greeted everybody at the clubhouse door. You know, it was amazing. It was amazing what happened.
Wow.
You know, and ironically, Buckner, and I know what John McNamara was thinking. Buckner drove in 117 runs that year. He's been there. Mookie was the right guy up, and Bill played in the Dodgers and the Cubs. Knew Mookie ran everything out hard to first base and could run like a jackrabbit. And don't think that wasn't in the back of Buckner's mind when he sidled over down the line, and because if it had been anybody else, he would have made the play.
McNamara just wanted him on the field, like he deserved to be on the field for celebrating, right?
Yeah.
And it's amazing how baseballs find people in this day.
It is,
you know.
Yep.
And so Mookie goes up the line, and you know, when you tell these stories to people, like, oh, so the Mets won the World Series, like, nuh-uh. There was a Game 7, and there was a rainout, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
And they gave Hurst another day's rest. He would have pitched on 2 days' rest, like Lomborg in '67 against Gibson in Game 7. But he got an extra day's rest, and he tuckered out. I got the base hit off him.
You had 3 hits in that game, didn't you? Game 7?
I forget. I drove in 3 runs.
Yeah.
So, anyway, those weren't fun at bats. I mean, ironically, in '82, I had a same situation. Gene Tennis pinched hit, and Bob McClure was on the mound, left-hander, and he pitched around Tennis to get to me open base, and I got a base hit that tied the game.
Yeah.
The 7th inning, Game 7. Same situation. I couldn't believe it. I'm in the hole, on deck circle. Tim Tuffle's up, and Hurst pitches around him and walks him. And I'm going, it's on me. I got nowhere to go.
Right.
And we're losing by 2 runs, I believe. And I remember I looked up at my brother, who was in box seats behind home plate.
Yeah.
And he's always been my talisman. And he got up and gave me the big fist pump, and it just kind of calmed me down. And then he leads me off with a curveball that buckled me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I knew he was going to come inside. I choked up. All I needed was a single there. And I delivered. But those 2 at-bats, they were very clutch at-bats, but they weren't fun. It was when I succeeded, it was like the weight of the world. I took a deep breath and went, thank you, Lord.
And then you won the World Series. What if there was Twitter for the '86 Mets?
It would have been a disaster. I wouldn't have wanted Twitter. And I didn't do any commercials when I played.
Right.
I wanted to focus on the field.
But at the Strawberry at Darryl.
Oh, can you imagine?
Right.
Do you really think the players are doing it? They got people doing it for them.
I don't know. I think a lot of
a
players are
player
doing
who
it.
sits home and goes on Twitter on a daily basis in season.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
Absolutely. Because no question about it in my mind. How, and a few more minutes left here with Keith Hernandez. So your manager, Davey Johnson.
Yes.
How did he do that job with the personalities in that room?
Because he was like one of us. He was an ex-player,
Mm-hmm.
or of obviously the world champion Orioles.
Right.
And he played with the Braves and the Phillies.
So he got it?
He was just a player's manager. He just always said, don't embarrass the organization. You come to the ballpark, come on time, you play hard. I don't care what you do, but just don't embarrass the organization and come out every day ready to play.
And it worked.
Yep. I mean, there was a few times I was out late. New York would go to 5 in the morning if you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 6.
Yeah.
There's a couple times I was out late on a Saturday night with a day game, and I go into Davey's office. And I go, Davey, I'm not going to take BP today. I need to go back in the doctor's office and take a nap.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, go ahead. And I have the trainer wake me up. This wasn't all the time.
I'm understood.
It was just a couple times. I burnt the candle at both ends. And I basically took care of myself, but there were times I didn't, a few. And the trainers would come wake me up at 12 noon. And I'd have a cup of coffee and I would sleep in my uniform. And then 1 o'clock game, boom, go get them.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.